Welcome to Planet MicroCap. I'm your host, Robert Kraft, and joining me right now is Jin Kang. He's the president and CEO of WidePoint Corporation. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is WYY on the NYSE American, and WidePoint will be presenting at our upcoming investor conference, Planet MicroCap Showcase Vegas, in partnership with MicroCap Club, taking place April 22 through 24, 2025 at the Paris Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. For more information, to register to see the WidePoint presentation in person, to meet Jin in person, please register to attend at planetmicrocapshowcase.com. With that, Jen, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you, Robert. It's always been a pleasure to speaking with you.
Absolutely. Really appreciate that. So it's actually been a few years since we've done an interview together. And, listen, we're not going to go through all the highlights over the last 3 years or whatever. But to start off, for those that don't know the Wide Point story yet, can you give us that quick overview of the company and then we'll go from there?
Sure. Thank you for that intro as well. We are a leading provider of mobility as a service, or what we call MaaS. We are focused on enabling a mobile workforce to work, from everywhere, right? We are focused on identity management, cybersecurity, managed mobility solutions, and data analytics. And we help our customers secure, manage, and gain visibility into their mobility assets. And some of our client base include large enterprises, both public and private. We have significant contracts with key federal agencies such as the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Defense, the General Services Administration. We also have large private companies. Some of them are Coca-Cola bottling companies, British Telecom, Southwest Airlines, CSG International. We also have a fairly large state and local customers like Ohio State, Penn State, American University, and other state and local governments and other education customers. So in terms of our, like a brief background, I mean, we've been around since 1997. We're headquartered in Fairfax, Virginia. We have grown through organic and inorganic means since then. Our top line revenue was 106 in 2023, but we topped that mark in 2024 with 142.6 million in top line revenue, nearly a 35% increase from last year. We experienced double-digit percentage growth since the new management took over back in the second half of 2017, with the exception of the decennial census year in 2020. So we've done pretty well. We also exceeded our guidance for revenue and, as I said, adjusted EBITDA, free cash flow for 2024. Our adjusted EBITDA for 2024 was 2.6 million, a 225% improvement from last year. Our free cash flow for 2024 is 2.5 million, a whopping 933% increase from last year. So now our cash balance was 6.8 million at the end of 2024, and we'll continue to add to this balance, as we are free cash flow positive now. I think we're an attractive cybersecurity. We are in the cybersecurity and mobility management business, with something like $36 billion in addressable market. So we're in a good place. And we got a lot of runway now.
Absolutely. So thank you for that full overview. You literally hit on my next question because we're recording this on Thursday, April 17th, 2025. You came out with earnings yesterday on the 16th for the full year in Q4. So I kind of gave the full overview on that. I also wanted to dig into, the U.S. government contracts, some of your main source of business there and working with the Department of Homeland Security. Can you give us a little overview on working with the DHS, especially with DOGE and all that going on? I'm sure people would love a little more context there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are sort of, a little bit yippy. I think that's the word that Trump has been using, yippy. I think that that's absolutely true. I stated this, multiple times, and that, DOGE, has been going through a lot, getting a lot of attention, and they're talking about all these budget cuts and so forth and so on. But the agencies that we support, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Defense, Department of Justice, these folks are all largely, insulated from, the DOGE budget cuts, right? Doesn't mean that, we're going to be completely spared or, come out completely unscathed, but, we feel, reasonably confident that we're going to be in a safe place. We may even see some increases, as some of the departments that we support may get additional, mission, like securing the border. DHS is responsible for Customs and Border Protection, and they're handing out all of these mobile devices and smartphones at the border so that the undocumented migrants can show up and be reminded, contacted, and located for their court dates and so forth. And so they've been handing out all of these devices. We can help them streamline that process. I think that there was a interview that was done with DOGE where they had something like 1,400 individual FTEs, full-time equivalent folks, that were handing out smartphones for the IRS. And 1,400 seems like a lot when you're talking about something like 80,000 staff members for the entire IRS, right? And so we can definitely streamline that. We can help them, to find all of these savings. And as you know, I mean, WidePoint has has deep-rooted commitment to cost saving, especially saving taxpayers money, right? From the beginning, one of our primary focus have been to reduce technology spending. We were DOGE before DOGE was, it became like a household word. So, we're optimistic, and we're trying, through various avenues to get, DOGE's attention. I've been, Xing, tweeting Elon and President Trump, on their platform. So far, they haven't responded, but we have been talking to some political operators so that we can try and get in and let them know how much money that we can save. We have our all of our managed mobility solutions that the basis of that is to save federal government money and our customers telecom lifecycle money, as well as our M365 product that we recently launched that can go and scan your entire corporate infrastructure and tell you exactly how many licenses you have of a particular application, how many are being used, how many are just sitting still, and we can give you actionable information and intelligence to, further save money, for your organization.
Absolutely. So that interesting. So, okay. So, I mean, like I was seeing on here that, in the Q3 earnings call that DOGE, would be a potential tailwind for WidePoint, which is where you were saying, the big focus obviously being on efficiency here. So, I mean, can you give us more information as to how you're trying to make sure that DOGE knows who you are so that, because I mean, we've seen what happens with them, right? Where they'll cut stuff and then be like, oops, we didn't mean to do that. Like, so what's the plan to make sure that, all right, we're firmly within, they know who we are, they know the benefits that we provide here so that we're not accidentally, our contracts are
Being cut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And what we're doing on that front is that we have engaged a fairly
aside
senior
from the
level.
tweeting, aside from the tweeting,
Aside from the tweeting,
all right,
and talking with various folks that we know on the Department of Homeland Security and some of our counterparts at the federal government. What we have done is that we have recently engaged a fairly senior level, well-placed political operative. I won't go into the names of the individual because I don't think that would be very helpful. But the operative that we're talking about has access right to the president, to Elon, to Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, all of these folks, Robert Kennedy. We're talking to all of these folks, and we've got our one pager in front of these folks to let them know that they can save a substantial amount of money without affecting staffing, right? And so there's a lot of opportunities there. There's a lot of opportunities with telecom lifecycle management. We saved the Department of Homeland Security over the life of the contract something on the north of $340 million, for DHS. If we are able to do that for all of the federal government, the amount of money that we can save is going to be in the billions of dollars. Now, when you look at DOGE, they're charging ahead and looking at big items, right? Cutting entire agencies and so forth. And I think that their attention is at that level, but we're trying to get the attention for these the operators to let them know that there are other ways to take a more instead of a meat axe approach, they can take a more of a scalpel approach and save significant amount of money for the federal government.
Very good. All right. Well, my final question then for you here today, from what you can tell us, what would you say are some of the company's, goals and milestones that you'd like to see achieved in 2025? And I say this jokingly, is it also just holding your breath in some respects, to make sure, oh, okay, we avoided the axe.
Right. We avoided the axe, and I think we are very we're cautiously optimistic about continuing to grow within the federal government, and not only in the federal government but also on the commercial side. Right. We've been now free cash flow positive for 5 consecutive quarters, and we are now focusing on achieving positive earnings per share, and we're going to do that in 2025 for the full year. Right. All of our solution lines are executing well. And we have enacted rigorous cost management to ensure that we continue to make progress toward earnings per share positive, right? What we have prioritized, as we have prioritized investment into our sales and marketing and capabilities, which has yielded strong returns, proven by our financial growth in 2024. We plan to sustain this momentum by continuing to prioritize sales and marketing, all the while deepening our strategic relationship with our partners and exploring new partnerships. Right. In 2024, we achieved key technological milestones with strong potential long-term returns. Most notably, developed our proprietary mobile anchor, essentially putting our secure digital certificates onto your smartphones and replacing the card stop, right? Which there's a lot of now this is going to provide the highest level of multi-factor authentication for physical and logical access for our customers, applications, services, all using your smartphone, right? And we also did a deployment of our mobile anchor solution to a couple of federal government customers, and now we're rolling that out to private sector customers. We are fully engaged in our 3.0 CWMS. I cannot neglect our DHS CWMS 3.0 contract that's coming up for renewal. We've had CWMS 2.0. Right now, we're performing on it. We had CWMS 1.0, and we actually had a CWMS precursor for DHS called the Telecom Lifecycle Management contract. And so we had this contract vehicle now for over 15 years. And the new CWMS 3.0 contract is going to be a 10-year contract with a $1.5 billion contract ceiling. Right. And so it's full court press for us. We are pretty confident, as I said, we're cautiously optimistic that our solution set, our proven track record, DHS, we recently received our FedRAMP authorized status, which states that we meet all of the federal government requirements for cybersecurity. And none of our competitors can say that, right? Well, our systems are integrated in with all of the DHS systems. And so we feel very good about our chances of re-winning this contract and continuing our, proven relationship with DHS, right?
Yep.
And so, go ahead, Robert.
No, sorry. Finish up.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that you asked me to prepare for is that what are some of the three things? Why would the investors should do a one-on-one meeting with us? And I think as I said, our financial performance is continuing to improve. We have exceeded our full year 2024 revenue guidance and surpassed our full year, essentially surpassed our adjusted EBITDA and free cash flow, and we're going to continue to improve that. Number two. 2024 marked a period of substantial growth and innovation, our new solutions and key advancements and our service offering. And it's right in line with, DOGE and the current federal government budget cutting sentiments, right? We have several multi-billion-dollar contracts that are on the horizon. We already won the Spiral 4 contract, and we won a task order underneath that contract. We're playing with the three largest wireless carriers in the U.S., and we were successful in capturing our very first Spiral 4 contract and more to come. And there's a lot of opportunities there. And all of our certification and accreditation is continuing to be sought after by these large systems integrators. I know that there's a lot of uncertainty, currently in the federal government, but we remain cautiously optimistic, even a little bit confident that our business will not be materially, affected negatively, at this time, right? Agencies at WidePoint, we support, are largely exempt from these cuts. And we anticipate we'll continue to reap the benefits as they continue to spend at the same rate they have done so previously. So we're feeling pretty good. We enacted cost cutting measures, and we'll continue to hold the line on that. And as we add on additional revenue sources, you'll see our gross margins improve, and we'll continue to improve upon our financial performance.
Very good. Well, Jin, with that, where can our audience go and find more information on WidePoint?
You can go to our website at www.widepoint.com, or you can contact our IR firm at Gateway Group, just Gateway Group gateway-grp.com. And you can always send emails to us using our website.
Very good. All right. Well, Jin, thank you so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I'll see you in Vegas.
Great. Sounds great, Robert. Thank you. Thank you for your time as always. Really appreciate it.